U.S. exports of our natural gas, our oil, and our coal provide opportunities to advance our foreign policy objectives and strengthen our national security. Our nation can help countries diversify their energy imports away from countries like Iran, Russia, and Venezuela. The Administration and Congress need to focus on energy and take the steps required to eliminate barriers for exports of American natural gas, oil, and coal. One good example of how the United States can assist our allies and partners through U.S. energy resources is the current situation in Europe. Many of our European allies import more than 80% of their natural gas from Russia, with some importing as much as 100%. While in the past Russia controlled the nations of Eastern Europe through military force, Russia now seeks to control them economically. Russia is able to use its energy resources to manipulate and threaten countries in Eastern Europe because of their dependency on Russia's natural gas. Countries are asking America to increase exports in order to help reduce the threat Russia proposes to Europe by offering an alternative source of natural gas. Every molecule of American natural gas that makes it into the world's market is going to be a molecule that cannot be used by Russia to hold countries in Europe hostage. In July 2014, Ukrainian President Poroshenko wrote an article in the Washington Post asking for the United States to help Ukraine and respond to Russia. He said, quote, "We need U.S. natural gas to shore up our energy supplies so that we cannot be blackmailed by Moscow. We need a reliable partner and ally to help fuel our nation." 4 of our allies in Europe, Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic, have asked the U.S. to increase exports to help blunt Moscow's influence. These countries know what Russian aggression looks like, and they are asking for our help. It's time for the United States to take the needed steps to help expedite U.S. natural resources. The geopolitical benefits of U.S. energy exports are not limited to Europe. Whether we talk about the United States being an alternative to Iran's crude oil exports for countries like China, India, Japan, or South Korea, which would help cut off a vital supply of funding to the Iranian regime, or the United States supplying natural gas to help boost economic development for countries in the Western Hemisphere dealing with the uncertainty of Venezuela's energy exports and subsidies, or the United States strengthening engagement and trade with East Asian nations, U.S. energy exports can provide important national security benefits and strengthen America's foreign policy leadership across the globe. Over the last several years, I've introduced legislative initiatives aimed at making it easier to export American natural gas to our allies overseas. Earlier this year, I introduced S-33, the LNG Permitting Certainty and Transparency Act. This bipartisan bill expedites the permitting process for LNG exports by requiring the Secretary of Energy to make a final decision on an export application within 45 days after the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission completes the environmental review process. I'm also co-sponsor of S-1312, introduced by Senator Murkowski, to repeal the ban on exports of domestic crude oil. Through these efforts and many others, I continue to work to remove barriers and increase exports of American natural gas, oil, and coal. I will now turn to the ranking member, Senator Udall, so he can offer his opening remarks.